Okay, as alluded to last week, I'm going to take this idea of right, left, left, or left, right, right into a groove context. Just for clarity's sake, I will be playing left hand on the hi-hat and two rights on the snare drum for the simple reason that I'm left-handed. Most of you, I assume, are not. Most of you are right-handed, so you'll play right hand on the hi-hat and two lefts on the snare drum. Of course, I'll take you through the functionality of this, the physicality of playing it on the instrument, because you'll have to play sometimes an accented second note double on the snare drum, sometimes moving what will be my left hand over to the snare drum to play the backbeat. And also, for a lot of things, if I continue to do this on Facebook, I'm going to put this through a certain filter, and this is a Gary Chaffee filter. Of course, Gary Chaffee was the one of the premier and maybe one of the greatest teachers of this instrument of all time at Berklee School of Music. And the whole concept is to progressively go through a grid from the first note of the beat, so the quarter note on beat 1, then moving it a 16th note to the E, and then a 16th note over to the and then a 16th note over to the and then adding two notes, one E, one and, one E and, and then three notes, one E and, one E one and E and then four notes in its completion, one E and that takes you through every possible permutation between beats 1 and 2 that you can have, from quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. And that's just from beat 1 to beat 2. You can do it on the 2 side as well, starting on the E, and then the and then the and then the E and, the E the and then the E and to complete it. And I believe that's 22 possibilities, of which that's all there are 22 possibilities. So there's not an infinity of these options. So just so you know, that's the grid I'm going to use. And it is the most simple, it's the most effective, and it's also progressively concise, meaning that you're just not learning a groove from page 32, number 26, that you'll never remember. This is practical application that will become a part of your playing because it's ideas and notes that you use all the time against a certain ostinato, an ostinato being a repetitive pattern of which the left-right-right pattern is, or the right-left-left pattern is. So, here we go. So here it is. This is left hand on the hi-hat, two rights on the snare drum. I will put backbeats into it on beats 2 and 4. And those backbeats, of course, because this is not an even phrase, will be distributed throughout the hands. So the first backbeat for me will fall on my right hand. The next one will fall on my left hand, moving it over from the hi-hat, and the third one will be on the second note of the double in my right hand. That looks like this. And this is with the bass drum on beat 1. At 100 beats a minute. 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to move the bass drum over 1/16th note to the E of 1, and I'll show you what that looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to move it over 1/16th from the E of the beat to the and of the beat. 1, 2, here we go. So now I'm going to move over the bass drum note from the and of the beat to the of the beat, and thus it will take care of all single notes played between beats 1 and 2. There's only 4 of them, the 1, E, and an So I'll demonstrate that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now I'm going to start the 2-note phrases on the bass drum, and the first 2 notes being 1 and E. So I'll show you what that looks like. 2, 3, 4. Now I will do the 1 and the and. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I will play the 1 and the of 1, and if you've noticed what's happening, the bass drum is staying on beat 1 and it's moving over 1/16th note on the second note from E, then and now 2, 3, 4. So now I'm going to move the starting position of the bass drum from beat 1 to the E. So that'll be the first note, and the second note now will be the and. So it'll be E and and. I'll show you what that is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now I'm going to do the E and the ah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I'm going to move the bass drum over from the E starting position to the and starting position of, there's only one example of this, and this is and ah. So and ah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we're going to move onto 3-note combinations, and the logical first example is 1 E and. 3, 4. Okay, so now we're going to do 1 E ah. 3, 4. Next is 1 and a. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we'll move the starting note of the 3-note phrase from 1, which we've exhausted, over to the E, and there's only one possibility here. E and a. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we will complete the process playing all 4 notes, 1 E and a. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that constitutes all of the possibilities between quarter notes, 8th notes, and 16th notes between beats 1 and 2. Now I'll do the 2 side of the beat, and it will be the E, the and, ah, E and, E, ah, and a, E and a. And that constitutes, except for landing the bass drum on beat 2, which I'm not going to do, that will take care of everything on the 2 side. So starting with the E on the 2 side of the beat. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so now the and on the 2 side of the beat. 3, 4. So now the ah on the 2 side of the beat. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that exhausts all the 1-note possibilities on the 2 side. Now we'll deal with 2-note possibilities, starting with E and. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, second two-note possibility, E up. 1, 2, 1, 2. Last of the two-note possibilities, and up. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and the one example of three notes on the two side, E and da. 1, 2, 1, 2. And finally, I'll improvise on this concept for a quick minute. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that concludes this installment of the right, left, left, or left, right, right phrase. Next week I'm going to get into a linear application of this three-note concept. So I want to deal with three notes, and maybe from there I'll deal with four, I'll deal with 5 and 6 and so on. But I want to be a little exhaustive, seeing that we're in the threes. Excuse me, we might as well keep going in the threes and see where that can take our playing. So next week I think probably a gospel chop kind of approach, which hopefully some of you guys will dig. So thanks for tuning in, and again, your comments, your suggestions are invaluable. And what you think of the content of this, you know, as I keep going, I'll clean up, you know, some of the aesthetics and things like that. So yeah, let me know, and subscribe, I guess, right? That's what people do. So go ahead and click the like button if you want, the subscribe button, and the bell for notifications, right? All right.